There are currently 18 former NFL head coaches in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, none of them as important to Bills Mafia than Marv Levy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Billievers Talk. My name is Joe as we continue with our Hall of Fame series, and this time we're talking about Buffalo Bills Hall of Famer Marv Levy. Before we do that, however, guys, I want to remind everyone that if you're new to this channel, guys, please be sure to hit that subscribe button for continual Buffalo Bills news. Went live a few times this past week as I was on vacation, just to keep you guys up to date on not only the Buffalo Bills, but the Buffalo Sabres. So you want to make sure you hit that subscribe button. After you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that notification bell. YouTube will notify you when we put out new content. Also, while you're here, hit that thumbs up button, like this video, and leave a comment. What are some of your favorite memories of Marv Levy, if you have any? And also, what are some comparisons we can make between current coach Sean McDermott and Hall of Fame head coach Marv Levy? But again, guys, that's who we're here to talk about in this edition. Buffalo Bills Hall of Famer Marv Levy. So Marv Levy was born August 3rd, 1925. If you're good at math, that means he's currently 94 years old, just a little bit more than a month away from his 95th birthday. And it didn't start off in football for him. After his time in high school in Chicago, he did not start off heading towards a coaching career at all. In fact, his first career was one of the greatest careers one could have in the U.S. military, was in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1946. For you historians out there, you know what those years were during. That was during World War II. So Marv Levy served his country during World War II, and that's where he got his start, and that's where we have to start, by thanking Marv Levy for his service, for his time in the military. Again, thank you to all the men and women who have served in the U.S. military, again, serving from 1943 to 1946. After his time in World War II, after he was honorably discharged from the military, he went to Coe University. COE University is a private university in Iowa. That's where he started his college career. Then he was admitted into Harvard in 1951, where he received a master's degree in English history. So went to Harvard in 1951, received a master's degree in English history. Guys, I could never make it into Harvard, so obviously this tells you Marv Levy was a very intelligent man, and that would go on to be very beneficial in his upcoming career, which was, of course, in coaching. In 1951, Marv Levy gets his first coaching job at he coached at St. Louis Christian Day School, where he coached both football and basketball. So not only was Marv Levy a future Hall of Fame football coach, he also could coach basketball as well. So multi-sports there. So very cool to see that he was able to do both, and able to do both well, because while the head coach at St. Louis Country Day School, he led the men's basketball team to a championship, winning his first championship as a coach, as a basketball coach. So that's what he did. And then his first NFL job was in 1969, where he was an assistant special teams coach with the Philadelphia Eagles, called him the kicking coach back in 1969. And that would be something that was always very important to Marv Levy. A lot of quotes surrounding Marv Levy talk about all three phases of the game. You talk about offense, defense, and special teams. He once was quoted as saying something along the lines of, I'm not going to get the quote right 100%, offense sells tickets, defense wins games, special teams wins championships. So special teams was always very important to Marv Levy, and that's why we saw some of the great Buffalo Bills special teamers, including probably the greatest special teamer of all time, Steve Tasker, during Marv Levy's time with the Buffalo Bills. But going back to the early years, in 1973, that was the first time he was named head coach of a professional football team. But it was not the NFL where he got his professional start. It was in the Canadian Football League, in the CFL, where he was the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, or Alouettes. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. But he was the head coach from 1973 to 1977. And in that time period, Montreal brought home two Grey Cups. For those of you not familiar with the CFL, the Canadian Football League, the Grey Cup is like the Lombardi Trophy, right? You win the Super Bowl, get the Lombardi Trophy. You win the Canadian Football League Championship, you get the Grey Cup. So maybe not as prestigious because the CFL does not have as many teams as the NFL, but still a championship nonetheless, still needs to be recognized, and it was recognized here in the United States, as that's shortly after his second Grey Cup did Marv Levy get his NFL coaching career started, and that was with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs come knocking on Marv Levy's door in 1978. In 1977, the Kansas City Chiefs went 2-14, decided it was time for a coaching change. 1978, pick up future Hall of Famer Marv Levy. In 1978, the Kansas City Chiefs do better than what they did in 77, and they continue to do better all the way up to 1981, where they finished 9-7, just missing out on the playoffs that season. In 1982, the NFL went on strike. It was a strike-shortened season, and in that year, Marv Levy went 3-6 with the Kansas City Chiefs. A little disappointing considering the trajectory the Kansas City Chiefs were on with Marv Levy up until that time. Decides to step down as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach. Takes a few years off before he decides to coach in the NFL again. And that opportunity happens in 1986 when our Buffalo Bills come knocking at his door. And that's when his NFL coaching career obviously really takes off and leads him to a future Hall of Fame appearance. So in 1986, he finished the Buffalo Bills season, only coaching in 8 games that year, finishing 3-5 for the Buffalo Bills. 1987, his first full season as the Buffalo Bills head coach, goes 7-8, and then the following season, 1988, he stomps his foot in the ground and says, let's get the job done, maybe with a little help with some future Hall of Famers on the Buffalo Bills that we will be talking about in future episodes. So make sure to subscribe to Believers Talk. By 1988, the Buffalo Bills finished 14-2, winning their first of 6 AFC East Division titles while Marv Levy is the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. They finished 14-2 that season. Like I said, Marv Levy does not look back. In fact, during his coaching tenure from 1986 to 1997, when he retires from coaching, the Buffalo Bills had the second highest winning percentage of any football team in the NFL, only behind the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers between 1986 and 1997 won 3 Super Bowls, and we were just games behind them for the highest winning percentage during that time frame. Now, of course, the Buffalo Bills did not win any Super Bowls. Any Buffalo Bills fan can tell you that. But the Buffalo Bills are still the only team to go to 4 straight Super Bowls. In fact, after you've watched some of these recent teams lose in the Super Bowl, you've seen how hard it is for those teams to even make it back to the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. We saw the Rams just 2 seasons ago lose 13-3 to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and then not even make it back to the playoffs the following year. We've seen that time and time again. So that tells you something about Marv Levy's frame of mind. The way Marv Levy is able to take a negative and twist it into something positive and give fuel to a fire that the Buffalo Bills had in their stomachs to continue to that success, continue to strive for Super Bowl greatness. Now, again, we fell short every single time from 1990 to 1993, falling short every single season, but that tells you about Marv Levy's grit and this team's grit, and that's why so many of these players are finding themselves in the Hall of Fame, because I've always said this is the best dynasty to never win a Super Bowl, and I'd be hard-pressed for anyone to prove me otherwise, because this was one of the greatest dynasties, I believe, of all time, all coached by Marv Levy. So let's go over some stats from Marv Levy as the Buffalo Bills head coach. Marv Levy, regular season record, winning as coach in Buffalo Bills history, 112 wins, 70 losses. Postseason, obviously has the most postseason wins in Buffalo Bills history, winning 11 games and losing 8, giving him an overall record of 123-78. He was named the NFL Coach of the Year in 1988. In fact, he was named the AFC Coach of the Year 3 times in 1988, 1993, and 1995. Again, the Bills won 6 AFC East Division titles while Marv Levy was the head coach. Also won 4 consecutive AFC Championship games, and they are the only team to appear in 4 straight Super Bowls. So again, great success by the Buffalo Bills, even though they couldn't get to that final goal. Still very well relevant during Marv Levy's tenure as head coach of the Buffalo Bills. After that, Marv Levy and the Buffalo Bills still had plenty of success. Again, named head coach of the AFC Coach of the Year in 1995. Still made the playoffs playing, won the division again in 1995. In fact, that's the last time the Buffalo Bills have won the AFC East division. Hopefully that changes in the upcoming year or so, and the Buffalo Bills can take that off their plate and maybe host a couple of playoff games. That would be really cool, good to see. If you are a Bills fan. He retired from head coaching in 1997 from the Buffalo Bills. And then he was inducted into the Hall of Fame by Bill Polian, who was the GM and future Hall of Famer for the Buffalo Bills. We will be talking about Bill Polian in a future episode as we continue to cover the Buffalo Bills Hall of Famers. But one more thing about Marv Levy. After he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2001, he also served as the Buffalo Bills GM in 2006 and 2007, where he came back just for a little bit to give Buffalo Bills fans a little bit of hope. Now, the Bills obviously didn't do that well during those seasons. That was during their 18-year playoff drought. But it was always good to see Marv Levy back in Buffalo. Always welcome at One Bills Drive because, again, he is one of the best head coaches of all time. One of 18 head coaches in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So let me know in the comment section, where do you rank Marv Levy as far as head coaches all time in the NFL? I think I have him either 3rd or 4th in my list. Let me know what you guys think. Again, thank you for joining me on this Hall of Fame edition of Believers Talk as we take a look at every single Buffalo Bills Hall of Famer. Started with O.J. Simpson. Then we were fortunate enough, had the pleasure of talking with Billy Shaw, and we cover Marv Levy. That means next week, next Friday, we get into the K-Gun offense, originally organized by this man, Marv Levy. We talk about the star quarterback of that system, a guy who's on the wall behind me, and that's Jim Kelly. So make sure you join me next week as we talk about Buffalo Bills Hall of Famer Jim Kelly. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, make sure to do that as we continue to keep you up to date on Buffalo Bills news. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and like I said, leave a comment. Where does Marv Levy rank as far as NFL coaches all time in your book, and what comparisons can we make between current Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott and Hall of Fame Buffalo Bills head coach Marv Levy? I look forward to giving you all the Hall of Famers updated right here on Believers Talk. Continue to keep you updated on Bills news and Sabres news as that continues to hit as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.